On NFL Eve, Kyle Madsen in for Dibs, Willard and Dibs at 95.7 The Game. Thanks for being with us, and thank this guy for being with us. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. He's doing the game this weekend, and is just an NFL dignitary if there ever was one. Moose Johnston joins us now. Hey, Moose, what's going on? Great to have you on.
Oh, thank you. Everything's well. I hope the same for you.
Beautiful. Yeah, here we go. And we've been talking a lot about it around here. It feels like if there is one team that is sort of dominating the national headlines right now, it's the one that resides here because we've got what I guess no other team really has right now, and that's kind of some quarterback drama. What is your view on having a presence like the 49ers do at backup quarterback, and whether that's not a thing or it could be a thing for a locker room?
Well, I think that was the driving point for this whole decision. Just listening to what Kyle Shanahan has said, what John Lynch has said, it was their faith and their belief in the culture that they had established through their time together in San Francisco that allowed this opportunity to happen. And that speaks volumes to me, because I know what a huge plus it is when you've got a locker room that can kind of manage situations like that, and you can maybe challenge the guys to do something that's unconventional. And I think that's exactly what happened here. They were both open, both Kyle and John were open about moving on from Jimmy Garoppolo, and then the surgery sidetracked it. So now you're trying to figure out exactly what is the best option we have. And, one of the things that I have a tremendous respect for both of those guys is they really don't care what people from the outside say. They do what's best for their team. And this may be a little bit unconventional with the way everything was happening in the offseason and the posturing up until the end of July. But then all of a sudden, there's a new hand that's been dealt. And how are you going to play that one out to maximize it? And that's the biggest thing is we all see it every season. There's a team that gets derailed during the course of the year because there's an injury to their starting quarterback and they have it prepared. They don't have that backup. Not a team that was in the mix last year, but I mean, the Giants were disastrous, last year once they lost Daniel Jones. It can really, really put you in a tough spot. And it's something that San Francisco now is going to be able to manage if that situation ever presents itself.
So Jimmy Garoppolo returning has opened up the book on, is Trey Lance going to get benched? Is he good enough? Are they better with Garoppolo? It's opened this whole Pandora's box of assessing a quarterback that has started 2 games in the NFL and some preseason games. What are your thoughts on Trey Lance, just in what we saw last season and what we saw in the preseason this year?
Well, the commitment that they made to him, obviously there's a vision there, from Kyle Shanahan and the organization of what Trey Lance can be for the 49ers. So, I'm excited. I don't think any of us really has any idea exactly what Kyle has in store. He's done a tremendous job of keeping that hidden behind the curtain a little bit. So I'm excited for Sunday just to see exactly what this offense is going to look like. I think we all know what the Jimmy Garoppolo offense looks like and how that functions, and just reading between the lines and how this is going to be so much different because of the skill set that Trey brings to the position. I'm excited to see that. He's had the same struggles that every young quarterback has had. You struggle with a little bit of accuracy. You're inconsistent through the course of a training camp. We found out that the injury that he had last year at the end of camp impacted him a lot more than people thought, and that people were really aware of during the course of the season last year. So I think you go into it this year based on the evaluation from the whole draft process and the upside that Trey Lance has, and now you put faith in Kyle Shanahan as a great game planner and a scheme guy with that offense that he built.
Moose, one of the storylines, I think, before Jimmy that we thought we'd be talking about going into this weekend is Trey Lance versus Justin Fields, who once upon a time, was the guy who was supposed to be the number 2 overall pick in the draft in Fields. I think you look at all 5 of those quarterbacks last year, first round, to a certain degree, the jury is still out on all of them. Would you agree with that? And what's your assessment of what you've seen from Fields so far?
Yeah, I agree with that, and it's always that way, right? When you're getting drafted at the top of the draft, you're going to a team that has struggled for at least 1 year, maybe multiple years. So there needs to be a turnover, there needs to be a roster upgrade, there needs to be assessment of the culture and the chemistry, camaraderie within that facility, within that building. And there's a lot of work that has to go into that. So I don't think it's really fair to judge somebody, based on that first year, especially at the top of the draft. Sometimes it's better to go a little bit further down, where you've got some pieces in place that are going to help you out that rookie season. But, Justin Fields is a guy that was in an offense last year that maybe didn't take advantage of the skill set that he did really well. They didn't protect him around an offensive line that was struggling a little bit. It's one of the big conversations in Chicago now. Did they do enough, in this offseason to provide Justin Fields the weapons around him to give him a better chance for success? But I think the switch, to Luke Getsy is going to be something that's really, really positive. Everything that you're hearing coming out of Chicago, just the way that he's adapting the offense to what the quarterback does best and having that conversation. And you would think that is something that happens everywhere, but I can tell you it doesn't. Sometimes, these teams get stuck in a system and they want the system to work and they're not really matching the skill set of the quarterback or the players that are on that offense to that system. And it can be very frustrating. It happened with us for a period of time in Dallas. When we were trying to run an offense, after we had a coaching change that didn't really fit the skill set of our offense. It does sometimes become a square peg in a round hole, and I think that maybe Justin had a little bit of that last year. But everything that you're hearing coming out of Chicago this year is it's tailored to his skill set. He's made huge strides through the course of training camp. The big thing there for Justin, and probably the same thing can be said about Trey, is understanding when that pocket is still clean, that you don't have to leave it, you don't have to run, because your big plays are going to be made from throwing the football from the pocket. So that's one of the things that these athletic young quarterbacks, they feel that pressure and they feel like the pocket's breaking down. And they get on the move, and sometimes they didn't have to. They could have just, slid, climbed, buy a little bit of time in that pocket and then make the throw.
The 49ers are going into a year with a first-time starting quarterback, but they're in a little bit of a unique position because it's the former number 3 pick on a team that went to the NFC Championship game last year. Can Trey Lance get them back there and beyond in his first season as a starter?
It's a lot to ask. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment by a young quarterback, but everything you hear, when you hear his teammates talk about from day one, not just this year, but from day one, walking into the facility, and the humility and the confidence, that's a tough line to straddle, is being a confident guy, but also having that humility. And you just hear how his teammates talk about what a good person he is. So, that says a lot, but still, I mean, having the ability, with all that pressure, that responsibility on your shoulders, because you're the key driver. The great thing for Trey Lance is, he has the luxury of having a lot of those pieces in place that the other guys, the Trevor Lawrences, the Zach Wilsons, they don't have what he has around him. Number one, that defense. Number two, very good skill players around him. The big question mark for San Francisco is, that interior of the offensive line. How does that come together? How does Kyle Shanahan game plan that and maximize what that combo inside is going to be able to do? So everybody talks about this being, potentially a Super Bowl ready roster if everybody stays healthy. So, that's the plus side. Trey Lance does not have to do all of this by himself. He's got a lot of really, really talented players around him that he can lean on.
Moose Johnston is with us here on 95.7 The Game. Moose, I don't know why this is hitting me in such a way. Maybe it's just because the 49ers are at Soldier Field coming up this weekend. But this sort of drumbeat that Soldier Field is going to go away and the Bears want to build a new dome is just like, wait a minute. What? We only got 2 frozen tundra NFL Films places. You can't have the Bears playing a dome? How does that grab you?
Yeah, God forbid. I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to put the Bills in the dome next?
Yeah, come on.
And then Green Bay is going to be the last one holding on. I think the setting is fantastic. It's Soldier Field. The big thing is when they did the renovations in 2003, I think they reduced the capacity to the lowest in the NFL. So it's not even great for getting all the different fans in from the city of Chicago to go see their Bears play. So, it's been a long time coming. I think you look around the NFL landscape and you see what Dallas did, what the Rams did and the Chargers did, what Minneapolis did, what the Vikings have there. In Atlanta, you see some of these new stadiums, and especially the ones that are inside. I mean, they don't even look like stadiums anymore. They're destination points. They're phenomenal. So for the city of Chicago to potentially have one of those types of facilities that brings in world-class events year-round is probably something that people have been talking about in Chicago for a long time, and it was never going to happen at Soldier Field. But I'm like you. I miss, I grew up with Mile High, Soldier Field, and all these, RFK. I mean, it's just there were so many fantastic, old stadiums that I watched as a kid growing up, and then had the opportunity to play at before they were transitioned out. So for me, yeah, I'm very similar to you. I'm a little bit old school and love some of the history and just having the environment be a part of the game when you get to that time of the year.
Why do you think we've do you think we've lost that? And if so, why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's all driven by money, right? If you're an outdoor facility in Chicago, you're not going to be able to attract a lot of events. When you're an indoor, state-of-the-art, multi-billion-dollar facility that has all the bells and whistles, you can bring anything there that you want. They're going to be competing for Final Fours. All the big indoor sporting events. Those used to be in the smaller venues around the country now. But once you've seen some of these stadiums kind of buy into it and the spin that they put on it, now we're seeing the Final Four go into these really large, brand new facilities. So it opens the door, and that has to be the pitch to the community that you're going to raise the taxes on, right? Hey, we're gonna have to help you. You guys are going to have to help us out build this thing. So but we're going to be able to bring a ton of world class events. It's going to have do the economic impact studies and everything that goes along with that. But it's one of those mixed bags where you're giving up the tradition and the history and everything that was happening at Soldier Field throughout all those fantastic years with the Bears, and you got to start fresh and anew. And it was hard for me here in Dallas. When we moved from Texas Stadium, and they went to AT&T. It's new, it's beautiful, it's comfortable, but it's always missing that nostalgia. It's always missing what that other building had because of all the history and everything that happened in that facility.
Okay, Moose, have a great call, and you got to do us a favor. Talk to your producers, please. I'm going to set the over-under at 2.5 cutaway shots to Jimmy. Please, no more than 2 or 3. Okay, let's not fan the flames too much. All right.
I agree. If Trey gets hit, I'm going to make sure that we're not panning right to Jimmy Garoppolo on the sideline. I'll do my best.
Yeah, every incomplete pass. There's Jimmy. All right, Moose. Thanks, man. Great to have you.
Thanks, Moose.
Take care, guys.
All right, there goes Moose Johnston.